Hi everyone, I'm making this video today to talk about crafting right now in 3.7 for Path of Exile, specifically weapons. So we're talking swords, axes, potentially even staves if you're into that. But primarily for me, I've been crafting one-handed swords. This can also apply for two-handers. So if you're kind of new to Path of Exile or new to crafting, hopefully this video can give you sort of an introduction as to kind of where to go in terms of, or how to get started on crafting essentially. We'll start by talking about base items. So obviously you want the highest tier base. For my build, I am using swords, so for me it's going to be a jeweled foil. That's generally the best sword available. For axes, if you're a slayer, generally you want to go Valax. If you're not a slayer, a flesh ripper is also very nice as well. For one-handers, it does not have to be shaped or elder, because you're not going to put your primary 6-link setup into your one-handed sword because you only have 3 sockets. So benefiting from those of the elders, suffixes, and prefixes aren't beneficial. So you don't need elder or shaper for one-handers. For two-handers though, you definitely want them, and generally you want elder. So if you are if you're trying to craft a Valax or a Flesh Ripper or maybe like a Coronal Maul, you definitely want it to be Elder, and you want to make sure that the eye level is 83. That's gonna open up the highest possible rolls that you can potentially craft. So say like for instance here, on an axe, so we got eye level 83 Merciless, and on the hybrid eye level 83 Dictators. So that's why you want eye level 83. One-handers are generally pretty cheap. An eye level 83 non-elder is like 1 chaos, so they're very easy. The two-handers are a bit more expensive. I think eye level 83 elder flesh ripper is like 60 chaos, and a Valax I think is like 3 exalts, so it's a lot more expensive there. Next thing I'm going to go over before I talk about crafting is quality. So with the introduction to the Menagerie and Delve, you can now get quality on items above 20%, even before you have any crafts on them, technically. You don't have to put it to 30 quality before you start. First of all, with Betrayal, you can get, I believe it's Hillock on transportation, or it may be Haku on transportation, but you can craft a free 28% quality through that on a weapon. You can also corrupt your weapon to 30% base quality with the Menagerie, so you don't necessarily need to use pristine fossils right away before you start crafting. So for me, I chose not to do that. You don't really need to quality your weapon beforehand, but if you want to and you have some money to spare and you want to throw pristine fossils in, you can. So once you pick up your base that you're going to craft, essentially the main way you want to craft in League is you want to obtain anywhere from 1 to 3 mods on your rare item, and then you want to multi-mod out the rest of them. And ideally, what you're aiming for on the as you're alteration spamming and then augmenting and then regaling, you're trying to essentially hit a combination of these 3, one of these 3, and one of these 3, along with good suffixes, which are attack speed, crit chance, multi isn't bad. I believe accuracy is also quite nice now. It goes a lot higher now. It goes to like 500 now, so it's quite good. But generally, the main stat you're trying to look for is hybrid. So ideally, Emperors or Dictators are one of the 2 hybrid mons you really want to try to hit. The reason why you really want to try to get hybrid is because you can't craft any fraction of hybrid onto your weapon through multi-modding or through crafting on the crafting bench. So you can't get any of these. So you really want to try to hit emperors or dictators. If you hit emperors or dictators, generally if it didn't come with the suffix, you just want to regal it right away. That also actually goes for percent increased physical damage. So if you get very lucky and just alteration spam T1 Merciless with no suffix, you just want to regal it right away. The reason why you generally want to regal things like flaring, merciless, and dictators right away is because if you augment and then regal, the chances that both of those two additional mods are going to be good is very low. So you can easily just ruin your dictators by augmenting, I don't know, like of the link's dexterity, and you really don't want that. So ideally the best thing to do is if you get like dictators or emperors or merciless or flaring, is you want to regal it right away and hope for another really good mod. And then you want to basically calculate out and see if it's worth multi-modding. The only mod you want to isolate as a mod alone before you start crafting the rest of it through multi-mod is hybrid. So either dictators or emperors is okay to multi-mod just with that stat. So you would end up with a sword that looks like this. So this is okay to do. So this is pretty sound. It's okay to multi-mod on just the dictators. You don't want to multi-mod on just a flaring or just a merciless, even if you manage to regal it and then annul the regal and then think, wow, I've got this great crafting base. But the thing is, you really don't, because you're pretty much left without a prefix to craft, because again, you can't craft hybrid. So if you just have merciless or just have flaring, then you can't craft flat fizz or percent fizz. So you're kind of left with no prefix to craft. I mean, you can maybe craft like hits can't be evaded, but if you want the highest PDPS potentially possible, you definitely want to go with hybrid. So usually for a good crafting session, you want to get about 500 to 1,000 alts, and you just want to start spamming alts. That's all you really need to do until you get a good prefix, a good suffix, or both. So if you get a good prefix, again, you want to regal it right away. If you get a good suffix, you want to augment it and hope for a good prefix. If you land something like the hybrid, like dictators, emperors, you just, again, want to regal that right away too. If the regal hits an additional good mod, well, then you're in the money. So then at that point, it's done. You can multi-mod it, and you're going to have a great weapon. If you hit a bad regal, so let's say if you hit, if you have dictators and then you regal on 11 dexterity or some crap like that, then you want to buy an annulment orb and you want to annul it and pray that you hit the bad mod and take it off. Then you can still multi-mod it and you're done. This is another example of something you can regal. So this isn't perfect hybrid. However, it has an attack speed roll that's better what you can craft. So something you want to also look out for is just mods that are better than what you can craft on the crafting table. So for instance, this Conquerors and this attack speed, I can't get either of these rolls on the crafting bench because I can't get 27% attack speed. I can only get up to 20, and I can't craft hybrid at all. So if I was to regal this and land a pretty darn good additional, let's say, flat fizz or percent fizz, then that would definitely be a good contender to multi-mod. So something like this is what I'm talking about. So I crafted this earlier today. I alteration spammed and hit this champions and hit a tier 2 critical strike chance. Alone, these two mods together aren't really that valuable, but I got very lucky and I regaled T2 flat fizz. So now this weapon is very good because not only does it have the hybrid mod, which I can't craft, on a crafting bench, but I also have flat Phys and crit strike chance that's higher than what I can craft on a crafting bench. So this weapon right here is a very good contender to multi-mod. I'll actually be multi-modding this, and it's going to be a pretty darn good weapon. So I have it here. I pretty much what I did is if you ever don't know if it's worth investing the 3 to 4 exalts to multi-mod it and put in the attack speed, the crit chance, and the 2 exalts into the multi-mod, then you can just plop it into Path of Building and put in all the stats to see if it's worth it, essentially. 1 second here. I think I can even get this higher, so this could potentially go to 24 to 41. So I'm going to put the best possible roll. So this can go from 24 to 41. Save. So once I finish crafting the sword, and it's never going to be this high, but if I land a pretty good divine, this could potentially be near a 480 PDPS foil, which is extremely, extremely good. So this is why a weapon like this is very, very, very powerful, is because I can still craft that huge percent physical damage roll, and then multi-mod, or multi-mod percent phys damage, and then add in any missing suffixes. So in this case, I'm just missing attack speed. So that's why a weapon like this is very, very good. This one's also pretty nice as well. So on this one, I just isolated the dictators, so that's also quite nice. This one, I just need a regal and hope for maybe something good. If I don't land anything good at that point, I can just scour it and start over. You also never isolate a suffix. I saw some very bad foils on trade chat that were just an isolated of celebration mod and then multi-modded everything else. You never want to do anything like that. So the only mod you ever want to isolate is dictators. So that's the only one you want to isolate. And essentially you want to hope for stuff like this. If you can get it doesn't exactly have to have, so even if it doesn't have the hybrid, it could still potentially be really good. So if you just land a very high flat Phys, higher than what you can craft, and then maybe you regal a decent hybrid, or even if you regal like a good flat physical damage roll, then it still might be good to multi-mod. So sometimes you just have to check on Path of Building to see if these kinds of foils are worth it. So in this case, this one is definitely worth multi-modding. Something you want to avoid multi-modding, again, is those single flarings, single Merciless. You don't want to multi-mod those, because then you're completely missing out on the hybrid roll. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to be it for this video here. It's just a little short segment on crafting. So once I multi-mod this and divine both of these swords, I'm just going to take them to the menagerie and corrupt them to 30% quality. And so hopefully they'll be around 48% quality, and I'll have something like a 450 PDPS sword on both of these. And that's how I've pretty much gone about crafting my foils. So if you guys have any questions about weapon crafting, or are wondering what I should do with this, you can just PM me in-game. I'll be here as well. If you guys need any crafts, I also do have all my crafts available for free. So I have multi-mod, I have all the other crafts. So if you guys need those, feel free to PM me, and I'll just craft them for free for you. I don't really care about any fees. So just hit me up if you need your foil or other weapon crafted, and I'll be glad to do that for you. Just make sure you have the actual crafting costs with that. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope if you're new to Path of Exile or new to crafting, hopefully that sort of helped you with kind of learning how to get started on crafting, and hopefully you can craft yourself a pretty darn good weapon. So I will see you guys on the next video, and hope you guys all have a good rest of your day. Bye.